Big MMA news, Ankalaev versus Blachowicz at UFC 282. Nickal retiring, possibly. And then Movsar Evloev, Bryce Mitchell is in jeopardy of being canceled due to one reason that we will discuss later on in the video. We got a lot of MMA news topics. We got cancellations, we have fight announcements, we have people leaving the UFC, retirements, and even one fighter becoming a father. In today's video, go down and like this video if you're new, and comment your favorite topic once the video is over. Subscribe, turn on notifications for more MMA news videos every single day, with the occasional prediction and things like that. But let's get in to the first topic of the day. Magomed Ankalaev and Blachowicz has been set for UFC 282. I'm going to give my early prediction for this fight and why I think this is an actual banger fight in the light heavyweight division. Now, I did want it to be 5 rounds of action in the light heavyweight division. I wanted to see how he would do against Blachowicz in a 5-round fight, but it's only 3 rounds, but it's going to be a banger of a 3 rounds. I do believe Blachowicz is going to defend the takedowns early on in this fight, and I think it's going to be mainly a striking fight, but that's the thing that does worry me of making it a really good fight versus a pretty boring fight, is if Ankalaev is able to get the takedown, it should be an easy wrap win right there, because I believe Rakic was able to land a takedown. Glover was definitely able to get the takedown in there. If Ankalaev goes out there with a just pure wrestling and grappling game plan, boxes with him for a little bit, find his level change, gets down the double leg, gets the back of Blachowicz, and just controls him for this 3-round fight, I can see Ankalaev winning a very dominant 30-27 decision. So it could be a boring decision win for Ankalaev, or we could see fireworks if Jan is able to defend the takedown and go out there and start laying on the pressure and the Polish power onto Magomed Ankalaev. Should be a good one in the light heavyweight division. The number, what are they ranked right now? Number 2 ranked and number 3 light heavyweights in the world. The winner will be fighting for the belt next, and it's going to be a good one. Put your predictions down below. I got Magomed Ankalaev by a unanimous decision. Next topic of the day, we got Nickal retiring from MMA at UFC 282 if he is put on the prelims. He did an interview with Ariel Helwani earlier on, I believe last night or earlier this morning, and he said if UFC 282 puts him on the prelims, he will literally just retire from MMA. He was the main event for both Contender Series fights. He says, if I'm not the main event, I am just going to retire. I don't believe it. I think he's actually going to be put on the prelims because of how absolutely stacked it is already. Ankalaev versus Blachowicz, Lawler, Ponzinibbio, Till, Duplessis, Dawkins, Rosenstruck, Curtis, and Buckley. I highly doubt Nickal is going to be ahead of all of those guys. Plus, whatever the main event's going to be, maybe Jones versus Stipe, maybe even Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. So we shall see, but I think he's going to be on the prelims of that pay-per-view. Ilia Topuria to serve as the backup for 2 main events called Bryce Mitchell versus Movsar Evloev, as well as Arnold Allen and Calvin Kattar. If there's any cancellations with either one of those 2 fights, Ilia Topuria will step in on short notice or on late notice, depending on when whatever cancellation does occur. But it's a good shot for number 14 UFC featherweight to potentially go all the way up to the top 10 of the featherweight division. Put your thoughts down below. Speaking of that, Movsar Evloev versus Bryce Mitchell might be canceled, and Ilia Topuria might be stepping in on short notice. Movsar Evloev was just heard by Georgi Kajishvili, however you say the name. He's I Heart Georgians on Instagram. Go check out that account. But he said, and he has a quote, and he has a source very close to Movsar Evloev, saying that Movsar Evloev just got injured during his training camp for Bryce Mitchell. It's not official that the fight will get canceled, but most likely the fight will be canceled and we will see undefeated versus undefeated either way in Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. I'm not even too sure Who would win that one? I'm gonna lean Bryce Mitchell to win ever so slightly if that were to happen. But who do you think wins? And do you think Evloev versus Mitchell will 100% get canceled? Because as of right now, there is still a small chance the fight could still stay on that UFC fight night. Fedor Emilianenko would like a retirement fight inside of Bellator MMA against Ryan Bader in a rematch. Ended up losing to Ryan Bader by first round knockout a few years ago. Came back with some good wins. Just recently knocked out former UFC fighter and title challenger of Bellator Tim Johnson. Anyone out there in stardom, Fedor Emelianenko, one of the greatest mixed martial artists, especially in that heavyweight division of all time. Looks like he's going to be done with MMA with one more fight in Bellator MMA against Ryan Bader. I'm gonna go Ryan Bader to win a decision in that one. But I really would like Fedor Emelianenko. I really want it to be like a George St. Pierre moving up to the middleweight division and getting a good finish over the younger guy and just retiring off to the sunset. So I hope that happens, but we shall see. What do y'all think about Fedor, the last emperor, Emelianenko, retiring from MMA? Patricio Pitbull calls out Alexandre Volkanovski to determine the best featherweight in the world. Alexandre Volkanovski, the #1 pound-for-pound MMA fighter in the world. Patricio Pitbull, the #1 pound-for-pound MMA fighter in the Bellator organization over there. And he says, if Scott Coker wants it, if Dana White wants it, and they're able to do it, he's willing to give $1 million to Alexandre Volkanovski to make the best featherweight outside the UFC versus the best fighter inside of the UFC for a featherweight versus featherweight champion fight. Bellator versus the UFC. What do y'all think about that? Who would win, Patricio Pitbull or Alexandre Volkanovski in the UFC / Bellator's featherweight division? Bo Nickal says he will smash, he didn't say smash, because he's not from Dagestan or anything like that. He said he will smash Khamzat Chimaev in a future fight. He says, I hope Khamzat Chimaev continues to win. I hope I continue to win, and we meet later down the line for the UFC middleweight belt. Bo Nickal really wants this fight, and I don't blame him. It's a good money fight, the biggest villain in MMA right now, and one of the biggest stars and up-and-comers in the middleweight division. Let's make it happen, Dana, in the next few years. Bo Nickal, Khamzat Chimaev, who smashes or smashes who? Next one in the lightweight division, Michael Chandler getting a title shot in the UFC's lightweight division after potentially beating Dustin Poirier would be an absolute clown show, says Beneil Dariush. Beneil, in about 2 to 3 weeks' time, will be fighting against Mateusz Gamrot in the main card of UFC 280. I don't think he wins that fight, but if he does, that should entitle him to at least a crack at the belt versus the winner of Islam versus Oliveira. But you're right, Beneil Dariush, you are definitely right, because the UFC is a money-making business. They're all about making the most money during the pay-per-view, so there's a chance if Chandler goes out there, knocks out Dustin Poirier, and Beneil wins a little decision win over Mateusz Gamrot, they might give Michael Chandler the title shot. But what do y'all think? If they give Michael Chandler a title shot, would that be a clown show like Beneil Dariush says? I say whoever wins, if Beneil Dariush wins, give him the title shot. If Michael Chandler can win and Beneil Dariush loses, maybe give Michael Chandler the title shot. But either way, if Beneil wins, give this man his gosh dang title shot. Kevin Holland is officially retired from MMA, as we saw on his Instagram post. I mean, the man just keeps on coming out with post after post after post saying, I am now 100% retired from MMA. And we got a new one earlier this afternoon where Kevin Holland said, and I quote, so I am retired. I'm officially retired. I'm retired from fighting. I had a good fight. Good payday, I had a good run. Times are rough for your boy, but I'm really happy on the green side. Unless something super duper magical pops up, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way things are. That I am retired, says Kevin Holland, I almost like Kevin Lee, in the middleweight division. I still don't believe it. I believe he will continue to fight in the UFC. Made some good money against Khamzat, but I think he'll continue to fight. What do y'all think? Is Kevin Holland actually retired? Alexandre Pantoja is the backup for UFC 283 Moreno versus Figueiredo at UFC 283, the co-main event of the Brazil pay-per-view. And I think that fight card is going to be an absolutely amazing fight card. I'm going to go Davis and Figueiredo to win ever so slightly in that one. I originally had Brandon Moreno when the fight was first announced, but I'm going to go Davis and Figueiredo to barely edge out a close decision. But now we have a backup for that fight, just in case Moreno goes out there, does something crazy the day before the fight, and he gets pulled out, or Davison goes out there, misses weight or something huge like that in the flyweight division. Well, we got a replacement in Alexandre Pantoja, who's only lost to Askar Askarov and to Davis and Figueiredo in the last 3 or 4 years, recently beating Manel Kape, Brandon Royval, and Alex Perez in the flyweight division. I think that's a perfect backup for this co-main event at UFC 283. But who wins that co-main? And if Alexandre Pantoja steps up, does he beat either Figueiredo or Brandon Moreno? John Jones would absolutely kill Israel Adesanya in a fight, says Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo not putting much stock in the name of Israel Adesanya in a potential move up to the light heavyweight division and a potential move down from the bulky boy John Jones heavyweight division back down to the light heavyweight division. He's saying John Jones would absolutely demolish Israel Adesanya should they ever fight. I'm gonna be dead honest, that's probably what would happen. We saw what Jan Blachowicz was able to do, take down Israel Adesanya plenty of times in their fight and grind out a decision. John Jones has devastating elbows, really good ground and pound, weighs a lot bigger than Adesanya, better wrestling, better grappling. I agree with Henry Cejudo. If they ever had made that fight, John Jones would have absolutely destroyed Israel Adesanya. Aspen had signs with the PFL after missing weight like 3 or 4 times inside of the UFC octagon, continuing to cancel her UFC fights or miss weight over and over, give half of her fight purse to her opponent. The UFC said enough is freaking enough. Aspen, get the out of here, man. And the PFL was like, give me, come here, Aspen. And now the PFL has access to Aspen Ladd over there in the PFL. She is a bantamweight fighter, but does not make weight for the bantamweight division, so naturally is a featherweight fighter. But the PFL only has the lightweight division with girls that would absolutely destroy Aspen Ladd. Larissa Pacheco, Kayla Harrison, all of these girls would absolutely mop the floor with Aspen Ladd, so I wish her luck, but she's not going to have much, and she's going to get destroyed in the PFL. Mokaev becomes a father in his 21 or 22 years of age right now, 7-0, undefeated inside of his MMA career, and 23-0 in his amateur MMA career. About to fight at UFC 280, Oliveira Makhachev on the prelims against the greatest Canadian flyweight in the world right now. I think he wins that one, and now just having a baby, that's going to give him even more motivation to go out there and win at UFC 280. What do y'all think about that? Mohamed Mokaev at only 22 years of age, becoming a father. Put your thoughts down below. Rafa Garcia, Haisayer Maheshat, set for December 17th. UFC Fight Night. I'm going to be deadly honest with y'all. Seems like a pretty easy prediction here. Rafa Garcia, he's a good wrestler, he's a good grappler, likes to go out there, close that distance, and grind on the ground. He does have some good boxing as well, but I'm going to be dead honest with you. I don't see Rafa Garcia dominating my headshot on the ground. With the wrestling and the grappling, I see this being a striking fight, and my headshot, 23-0, 9 wins and 1 loss, a good win in the Contender Series over undefeated fighter, and then a good knockout win in his UFC debut. I got my headshot by a decision against Rafa Garcia. Rafa is one tough guy, never been finished. My headshot by a decision. Ronnie Lawrence and Cameron Simon has been set for UFC 282. Not too sure what the main event is going to be on that card, but we know what the first fight of the night will be is Cameron Simon taking on Ronnie Lawrence. 8-2 Ronnie Lawrence, a very good wrestler and grappler, going 2-0 in the UFC over Vince Cachero and Mana Martinez. Then he ended up losing to Sadyokub Kakramanov. Now he's going to be fighting the man, the myth, the legend, Cameron Simon, the undefeated 21-year-old prospect out of South Africa, and he's coming off a deadly win on the Contender Series with a 3rd round TKO. It's a good matchup between two rising prospects in this bantamweight division. But Cameron Simon, I think he's going to win. I think he will be able to defend the takedowns of Ronnie Lawrence and get a good decision win in this fight. Josh Parisian and Chase Sherman set for UFC Fight Night, Mitchell versus Evloev. If it stays, Evloev versus Mitchell. But I'm going to give my early prediction for this one. 32 years old and 33 years old. Height and reach pretty even. Size is going to go Josh Parisian. And I'm going to go Josh Parisian to win this one by, let's go with decision. I think Chase Sherman is going to go out there, have some success with the boxing. It'll be pretty even. They'll both land some good shots. And then Josh Parisian will start laying on with the wrestling and the pressure and taking down Chase Sherman, controlling him there, a little bit of ground and pound. I'm going to go Josh Parisian by a very close 29-28 decision. That is it for today's MMA news. We got 4 fight announcements. Rafa Garcia, Haisayer, my headshots, Cameron Simon, Ronnie Lawrence, Chase Sherman, and Josh Parisian, as well as Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz. Gave my early prediction for those fights. Mokaev becomes a father. Aspen lad goes to the PFL. John Jones versus Israel Adesanya. Thoughts. Pantoja is the backup for UFC 283. Is Kevin Holland really retired? Michael Chandler versus Beneil Dariush. Who gets the title shot? Nickal, Khamzat, Chimaev. Pitbull versus Volkanovski. Fedor versus Bader. Rematch in Bellator. Evloev out of UFC Fight Night. Evloev versus Mitchell. Ilia Topuria could be stepping in. And Nickal retiring from the UFC if he's on the prelims. That was it for today's MMA news. Go down, smack that like button like John Jones does to his ex-wife, and go subscribe to the channel as well. Turn on those notifications for more MMA news videos like this pretty much every single day. We're live almost every single day as well at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so that's another reason to have those notifications on. You can ask me almost anything about MMA and I will respond, and I'll give you my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Comment down below, it helps with the algorithm. Like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one, you little